Life is art. Art is life. This is Classic Talk with Bing and Dennis, coming to you from New York.
Hello from Classic Talk with Bing and Dennis. Today our guest is the multi-talented Paolo Schott. Paolo has appeared in major opera houses of the world. He's appeared in Broadway, in fact won a Tony Award for the role of Emile de Becque in South Pacific, and he has sung in cabaret many places, including Café Carlyle in New York. Welcome, Paolo.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for, come to talk with us. And what a career. Broadway, opera, and a cabaret.
Yeah, it's quite a little bit of everything, right? I remember that when I first became a singer, I really wanted to sing songs that I liked. I really wanted to be able to sing everything that I would find pleasant to me. And after many years now, I'm able to do all these things: opera, a little bit of Broadway, and finally my cabaret shows with songs from the American Songbook, Brazilian songs, and of course Broadway songs.
I think you never really thought of you would do Broadway and.
No, I really loved. I was born in a family that shared a lot of musical information. Mm-hmm. So musicals were familiar to me as I was growing up, but. Because my life led me to opera, I never thought that I would be able one day to perform on a Broadway stage. So when this opportunity came to my life through South Pacific, because the role was written for an opera singer, Ezio Pinza, one of the most amazing basses in the whole history of the opera. And it was written for him, and they were looking for an opera singer to fill that role after many decades of South Pacific not being done on Broadway. So I thought that was my chance, so I came to New York and I auditioned with many other singers. It was around 200 singers that auditioned for that part. And I auditioned a few times. And after a few auditions, they chose me, and I was really, really glad that I was able to do something new at that point of my career.
Did you think at the time, you say, I'm going to get this one?
I didn't think about it. I really wanted, but I thought it was a little bit too distant to my reality. Maybe that's why the audition went well, because I really didn't really, of course I cared, but I wasn't very nervous about it. I had already a nice opera career going on, and that would be something to add to it.
What kind of adjustments, when you found out you got the role, what kind of adjustments did you feel, say, vocally, or what did you need to do to prepare for something different?
I was really scared to be on stage with the real actors. It was the first time that I was going to be with them, and I knew that the whole process would be different from an acting perspective, and I really wanted to do a good job. The other thing was the language. English is not my first or second language,
and with a French accent, right?
With a French accent. So playing a Frenchman in the South Pacific, being a Brazilian from a Polish family, it's really something that
a lot of languages.
So that was a little scary for me at the beginning, but. It all depends of where you are. In the case of the Lincoln Center Theater, it was the best place for someone like me. They were very patient, and the director Bartlett Sher was just fantastic, and I was very lucky to have a great cast who were very patient, and they enjoyed having someone from the other world into their stage. So I was really lucky to arrive at that situation on this stage. And the show was, of course, a great success because of the whole thing, the whole production, the whole preparation to present this show. And we all worked very hard for that.
I guess you're ready to do it again.
I was 2.5 years doing that, South Pacific, and it was the right time. And then I went to London to do the same production for a little bit, and I thought it was the right time to stop after 2.5 years. Of course, I miss doing the show. I miss the people in the show. But right now, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to South Pacific. Pacific. Maybe something else, of course, if it's the right road to go back on to the Broadway stage. Of course, I really enjoyed the experience, and I think it added so much to my career, to my as a person, as a professional. Things that I learned by being with these actors and trying to understand their world and adding to my world. I think it was a great experience. So if one day something from the Broadway world comes again in the right role that will fit me as Emil did, I would take it definitely.
Speaking of the family, and is it your family? You say is very musical. And
They are.
are they singers or musicians or what?
You know, my parents, they have similar stories. They were both born in Poland, a little bit before the Second World War, and they were taken from their houses to Germany for labor camps. And after the war, they had the opportunity to go to South America with their parents. Right, they were children at that time.
Sure.
So they arrived in São Paulo, and they met actually in the church, the Polish church in São Paulo, where they used to sing and dance Polish songs and dances. So they were very motivated by these meetings at the church, where they would meet with the other Polish people and sing and cultivate the traditions of their countries, because it's always something very frustrating when you're taken from your home, you know, and
Right,
you
sure.
can't go back because you don't have anything else. So they had this feeling of something that they lost, and they wanted to cultivate in another country, and they passed these songs and these music, the Polish music, to us, to all my brothers. I'm the fifth of a family, and we are all musicians, you know.
All boys.
No, two brothers and two sisters. I'm the fifth child, and I remember since we were kids that for my parents the most important thing was the music school. We were raised in a very little town close to São Paulo, not so close, 40 kilometers from São Paulo, but they had a music school, and that was fantastic. You know, I remember. Actually, I don't remember when I started learning music because it was very early. Yeah, I just remember knowing music as a young child does when he's presented to a second language. He just learns. That's what happened with us with music, because my parents put us in the music school so early. And I took piano and violin for a few years. And of course, they had dance too. So my parents motivated all of us to dance also. I took ballet classes, and I took all the classes possible. And I really wanted at one point to become a dancer first. Dance was my real passion. And then when I turned 18, I didn't really know what to do with my life, you know, and I remember my dad saying that the Polish consulate was giving some scholarships for Polish families to send their sons to Poland to get to know the country, to get to learn the Polish, and eventually study. So I thought that would be the perfect occasion for me to get out of Brazil a little bit, to see what my parents' country is like. And I took it. I took a ship. Actually, I didn't have much money at that time. The ship was around $300, and it was a cargo ship.
Oh,
So yeah, it took 24 days to arrive in Poland. But, you know, I was 18, and everything was a big adventure for me. I remember the ocean. I remember seeing all these beautiful fishes and dolphins and everything flying. Even the flying fishes was a wonderful experience. And I arrived in this strange country, but at the same time, I didn't feel like a stranger because of my parents. You know, I was so inseared with the Polish culture that I felt very at home, and I started to speak Polish after 3 months. So, which I didn't speak before, because
When you were very small, you spoke Polish. With
I
your
didn't,
parents.
because I'm the fifth child. You know,
Oh, right,
my older
right.
brothers and sisters, they do speak, but after a while, it was kind of lost in the family, because friends would come and we would have to speak only Portuguese, of course. But I remember my parents always speaking in Polish among themselves for us not to understand them.
Of course. Any of your brothers or sisters musicians today?
They are all musicians. You know, I have
Really?
two sisters and one brother. They are music teachers. And another brother is a baritone. He sings, he's an operatic baritone. He sings in São Paulo at the chorus.
Wow.
We're all musicians, thanks to my dad and mom.
So you were there for 8 years, right?
In Poland, yes, for
Uh-huh.
8 years. I started to study and I really wanted to, as I said, I wanted to be a dancer. And I started to work very hard in the lessons that I was able to take with a Russian teacher. And one day I had an injury to my knee.
Oh.
And the doctors at that time discouraged me to proceed because it was looking very bad. They didn't know what to do. And it was, 1988, I want to say. And I was scared. I was away from home. I couldn't walk. And they said, if you want to walk, stop dancing. And I did stop dancing. So the next week I went to apply for the chorus in the university. And the conductor of the chorus made a selection of voices. And when I sang, I don't remember what I sang to him, but I sang something to him. He said, you have a good material. You should invest in that. And it was like, oh my God, I can dance, so let's sing now. That's where it started.
Is this in Warsaw or in
It was in Krakow.
Krakow?
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful town.
So I stayed 2 years in Krakow and studying, and then I got the first audition for a professional company at age of 20. It's a national company called Śląsk. They cultivated Polish songs with Polish composers, and it was sung only in Polish. So the first thing to get into this company, you had to have no accent at all. And I was very glad because at that time I already had my Polish passport, and they didn't know I was a foreigner. And I passed the test. I sang in Polish, and they hired me. So I got my first job as a singer when I was 20 years old. I never stopped singing again.
Do you think that because you're late and meant to be, that's how you start your second life as a singer?
Yeah, I really knew that I wanted to be on stage, although I was very shy when I was young. I remember taking, when I had to present myself with the violin at the end of the year, we have to present music, and I was so shy because the violin wasn't a good instrument for me. I know it's hard for everyone at the beginning, but the piano was good. I knew that what I did at the piano sounded good, but the violin wasn't good. But even then I had to perform. So I was very shy about it. And I remember one time my dad reminding me that I started the piece with my other colleague on the piano. I was in the violin, besides the piano. By the middle of the song, I was behind the piano, and I finished backstage. I was so shy about it, but I still am. But I knew that I wanted to be on stage, that I had something to say while I was on stage. So when I couldn't dance, the other possibility was singing, which was part of my life already. Music was always part of my life. I thought, I'm going to grab this one.
Mm-hmm. So why did you go back to Brazil?
Yes, after these 5 years at this company, at the Polish company, I thought it was the right time to go back to Brazil. I missed the country, I missed my family.
You were completely alone when you went to Poland. No other family members.
No. I just
18-year-old alone in
exactly
what was a foreign country.
It was fantastic experience. I think my parents did the right thing, in the right time, and I went back because of my brother, who was already a singer in the São Paulo chorus. And he told me that they were opening spaces for new singers in São Paulo. So I went to visit my family. That was in 1994. It's a funny story because I went to visit them at Christmas, and at the same week I got a call from a friend of my mom's that she saw in the newspaper that Pavarotti was going to be in Rio for a selection for his competition. So I filled all the forms. I went to Rio. I got selected, and I was a finalist to his contest in Philadelphia. So two things at that year: the Pavarotti competition, and then I applied for the job at the theater in São Paulo as an opera singer. So I got both. I went as a finalist to Pavarotti's competition. I didn't win that. It was horrible at the time. I was so scared because it was the first time that I really got to meet all these singers from all over the world, and I got so scared and I got so nervous, and it didn't went well. But it didn't go well. So I went back to Brazil to the job, that steady job that I was going to be offered, and I stayed at that job for a year in São Paulo. And then I auditioned for a conductor in São Paulo who was looking for new singers to perform in the next season. I auditioned for him, and he gave me Figaro in Barbados. That was my first operatic role. It was Figaro.
Mm-hmm. That's a good place to start.
It was very scary, because such a big role and important and such known areas. So the same time, but you were young, you don't think, you just go into it.
So what happened after that?
Then I started to sing. I left the chorus. I started to sing in Brazil, mostly in Brazil, and the opportunities that I had there were fantastic because even, if you go to the school, you have teachers. Where you really learn is on stage. So Brazil gave me these opportunities to perform in many operas at that time. The productions were they had a lot of productions. So the operatic life was very abundant. So I had many choices and opportunities there. And I sang for many years in São Paulo, in Rio, in Manaus, where there's this opera festival every year for many years. And one day, again, someone called and said that this manager is going to be in Rio. This American manager is going to be in Rio, and he's going to listen for some singers. And I went to Rio. I was doing Carmen in São Paulo, not Carmen, it's Camille. But I went to Rio to audition for this agent, and he liked me. He said, if you want to come to United States for a tour of auditions. So I'm still with this great man, Bruce Zemsky, who is my manager, and Alan Green. And I came to the States in 2001, in end of November, and I made the first tour of auditions in America. So I remember the first one was at City Opera. And I got the first job right after audition. I got to sing 2 years from that date. So in 2003, my first international opera, which was Carmen.
Carmen.
Yes.
So do you feel like your career seems to be pretty smooth?
It might seem like that, but it's quite complicated. I think some people have this image that the operatic career or opera singers are very glamorous, but I don't feel that way. Really have to sweat our shirts to get it done. So it's hard work, and it's a never-ending work. Sure. So it's you're always concerned about being better and doing something better and correcting things. So it's never a kind of job. Okay, now I got it. I'm gonna do like this, because that doesn't exist, at least in my conception.
Do you ever doubt about yourself?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I think but I think this is a good thing. Of course, we have to come on stage knowing what you're doing, but I think the doubt is a part of the insecurity is part of what makes an artist vulnerable, and the vulnerability on stage is something that makes the artist grow. Sure. When you connect to that person, that we see a human being, not just someone that is perfect on stage. And I think that's part of because we are all insecure. We all have our doubts. There is no Superman or Superwoman in the world. I think it's a normal thing.
It's a very good thing that your whole family is, just love music, and I'm sure your father would be very proud of you.
Yeah, they are. They are very proud, and Unfortunately, they don't travel anymore, but they did
Yeah.
a lot to see my performances. And
Have they seen you perform here in America?
yes, they
Yes.
came to see South Pacific when I was doing
Oh, really?
it. Yeah,
Great.
twice. And they loved it. You know, they motivated us since we were kids, and it's thanks to them that we were able to choose
Sure.
the career that is uncertain. You know, it's not
That's
like
right.
you know,
It's
you never
gonna
know.
ask-
You never
ask
know.
you to be a lawyer, a doctor.
Exactly, you have a degree. The probability
right.
that you're going to have a good job is high. But as a singer, as a musician, you never know. You know, never know.
Do you still remember that your parents come to see you, and after the performance, the first thing they say to you?
I think they didn't say much. I just could see in their eyes, you know.
Uh-huh.
And my mom, she loved being aside to just listen to other people saying things about the performance
Right.
and her son, you know. And yeah, they are very. I believe they're very proud of all of us, not just me, but
sure.
my brothers and sisters.
Are you able to find time now to go back to Brazil to sing, or
It's very hard. You know, the Brazilian reality right now. It's hard to predict. The system in Brazil, it's like all the directors and everything changes every 4 years with the elections. So it's hard to have a continuity of a work. These things are changing. Most of the places are still like that, but these things are changing, and very serious people are in command right now and trying to plan in advance the seasons. Because sometimes in Brazil, they would call you 4 months before the production, are you available?
Yeah,
And
right.
it's hard to find the time.
Where's your home base?
I have a house close to the city where I was born,
Oh, really?
and that's my house. Yeah,
It's very nice.
yeah.
which opera house in Brazil is considered the top house? Is it Sao Paulo or
The
or
most
Rio?
traditional house was Rio. Always Rio de Janeiro, where the great companies from Europe would come. The whole companies there, they do the tour Rio, and then the Colón in Argentina, and they have this great stars and great stories about these companies. So the Rio company is the most traditional company in Brazil, but São Paulo is a very good one too.
You mentioned Manaus. We have fond memories having been there one time.
Yeah.
But I read that you sang in the opera O Guarani.
Yes.
There. What is O Guarani?
Guarani, it's the name of the Indian guy. The opera is about this tribe.
Who wrote it?
Carlos Gomes, a Brazilian composer who studied in Milan, in Italy, for many years, and he's the most known opera composer in Brazil and maybe in South America. So he wrote many operas in Italian, most of them. But the Guarani, it's a very nice opera, and even Plácido Domingo recorded it. And
Yes, we would love to hear one clip. We've spoken so much about South Pacific at the
Yes.
beginning of this. Why don't we hear just, we'll finish this segment with a little bit of South Pacific, if we may.
Enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you feel her calling across a crowded room, then fly to her side and make her your own. For all through your life you may dream all alone. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never
That is so beautiful.
Great memories from that
Yes, I
show
bet
with
you have.
Kelly O'Hara.
Unfortunately, we have to take a break here. We will be back very soon.
Good.
We are here today at Classic Talk with Bing and Dennis, speaking with Paolo Schott.